Hey guys, welcome back. So let's talk about the ethical interpretation of Ephesians 6:10 through 20. This interpretation shows that this armor is metaphorical armor. And Paul writes this because it really contains what he likes to call these well-defined moral virtues when you're looking at the full armor of God. We see that there's deep historical roots in this interpretation in our Christian literature and pre-modern preaching. But it's really paramount that we understand how moral formation of the Christian community is rooted through spiritual warfare. So, going through a couple different commentaries when you're looking at this interpretation, we need to make sure that we know exactly what it is talking about when we're talking about the moral virtues of this armor of the believer. Well, of course, we see the belt of truth, or this aletheia. And this isn't this only doctrinal truth, but it also represents moral integrity. We see the breastplate of righteousness, or the diocesan, which relates to a life that is aligned with God's standard and striving for his holiness. We also see, of course, the shoes that represent the readiness that we should have as Christians to defend the gospel. We see the shield of faith that protects the believer from the flaming darts of the evil one, or Satan, as we see in verse 16. And then we know that the believers wear the helmet of salvation to guide them in their intended path to the kingdom. And lastly, we see the sword of Spirit. And this is the only offensive weapon, and it corresponds to the word of God. And we use this weapon not just to defend ourselves, but to be able to attack the evil that is coming our way, because we live in such a hostile spiritual environment. Let's look at readiness a little bit better, and I'll make this quick. We see the Greek word hetomasia, which means this objective preparedness. And it's derived from verse 15 of Ephesians 16, where we're talking about the readiness of the gospel of peace. We see that the footwear, so that we could be ready, that functions here as the stabilizing and durable footwear for the endurance during our spiritual battles. There is a connection here between this ethical readiness and evangelistic witness, and that's an important aspect of the context of Ephesians. So when we're looking at this interpretation and we see the armor of God, this is a skeleton for Christian influence and how we should act and how we should be prepared as Christians. That, in a summary, is what the ethical interpretation of Ephesians 6:10 through 20. The next we'll speak about is the cause